Welcome back, everyone. This is Gray 1951. Welcome back to my channel. And also welcome back to another round of movies from A to Z, which my friends James, Ian, and Harry and I are going to, well, we just finished this a while ago, and now we're going to start again. And it's a good thing to get back into maybe once or twice a year to just go into our collections and pick out different films for each letter of the alphabet, different genres, different directors, and just explore different ideas and hopefully recommend some films to some of you out there that maybe you don't know about, and talk about some classics and old favorites as well. So I'm going to start out with letter A with a very lighthearted comedy, rom-com, yeah, Apt Pupil from 1998, directed by Bryan Singer. Wow, this is one of the darkest, depressing, yeah, it's not the kind of film you want to invite a bunch of people over and have pizza and say, hey, let's put on Apt Pupil, man. Sure. No, this is not. This is very difficult to watch in a lot of places. Apt Pupil, based on a short novel by Stephen King, which came out in 1981 or 82, I believe. The film came out in 1998, directed by Bryan Singer. And it stars Ian McKellen and a very young actor named Brad Renfro. Sorry, Brad Renfro, who unfortunately died very young just a few years ago. It was very sad. But Brad Renfro plays a 16-year-old high school senior who is obviously very smart to be 16 years old and be a senior in high school. And at the beginning of the film, he's sitting in a classroom, must be a history class, where they're talking about the Nazi Holocaust, the genocide, the death camps. And he develops this fascination for this particular subject. And he begins to notice an old man played by Ian McKellen, an old man named, what is his name? Oh boy, this is when I start to forget things. Arthur Dinker, an old man living in the town named Arthur Dinker, who's just kind of a very quiet guy who lives by himself. And anyway, Todd Bowden, who is the guy that Brad Renfro plays, does a little research and finds out that this guy is a long-lost, wanted Nazi criminal, a man who was once involved in putting people to death in the concentration camps. Well, so instead of turning him into the authorities, he goes to the guy's house and he tells him that he knows who he is. And the old man at first denies it, but then, of course, the kid talks about all the proof that he's been able to find. And the guy says, okay, what do you want? And the kid says, I want you to tell me stories. I want you to talk about what it was like to work in those death camps and commit genocide. I want you to talk about everything that you saw and heard. And so the guy is he is totally obsessed with this ugliness and the darkness of the Nazi era and what happened in the death camps. So the old man starts to tell him stories, and it turns into a very intense, very sick, warped relationship between the old man and this young kid. Now, the young kid tells his parents that he's found an old man who is practically blind, and he's starting to read to him. So that's why he's spending so much time with this old man. The parents think, oh, that's really nice. It's a nice thing to do. What he's really just feeding on the ugliness of the stories the man is telling him about the death camp. The kid even goes so far as to send away to some costume company which has made a reproduction, almost a perfect reproduction of a Nazi officer's uniform, and he buys it and wraps it up in wrapping paper with a bow on top and gives it to this old man as a present. And the old man is just appalled when he sees it. He's really affected by it. He says, you don't know what you're doing. The kid says, put it on. The kid has power over this old man because the old man is wanted by the Israeli authorities, and he knows what will happen to him if somebody turns him in, so he's afraid. So anyway, he puts the uniform on. It's a very creepy scene where the kid is just gazing at him, and it's almost, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the scene in Vertigo where James Stewart is trying to exert control and manipulation over the young woman Judy, played by Kim Novak, to make her look like the woman named Madeline that he doesn't know at first that she was trying to imitate anyway, and making her dress up and become something for his pleasure, and so we can gaze at her. That's what it kind of reminded me of, just weirdly enough. But so what happens with this relationship? And I don't want to give too much away, because my purpose here is only to recommend something and maybe spark an interest where you might want to go out and see this film if you haven't. But I don't want to give too much away and spoil all the surprises, because there are plenty. But the kid is in control of this situation, but things began to change as the old master, Denker, actually his real name is Kurt Dosander. That was his real name. He's changed it, of course, when he came to America in the 1950s and assumed a new identity and became an American citizen. Anyway, he starts to find ways to get control of the situation. So it becomes a power play between these two people. And of course, the guy from the concentration camp era is a master at manipulation and deception. It gets very, very intense, very creepy. Great performances by both of these actors, the old guy and the young kid. Also in the cast, we have Bruce Davison playing Todd's father. I'm sorry, getting all these names mixed up. Yeah, Todd Bowden, that's the name of the teenage kid. He plays his father. We also have David Schwimmer playing a very, very good supporting role as a high school counselor who gets involved with trying to help this kid and gets very crazy at the end. A lot of things going on in this movie. It's not just a power play. It's also filled with a lot of homoerotic imagery, which is very unsettling. It's nothing. There's nothing graphic going on. It's just the way this kid is constantly looking at this man, and the man is realizing that this kid has this intense interest in him. And it's also tied in with the fact that there are a few scenes where the kid is there's one long scene where he's in a car with his girlfriend and she's making out with him, and she says, I can tell you're not into this, and she says, maybe you just don't like me. And he's very confused, and she said, maybe you just don't like girls. And it's just, so he's struggling with a lot of things, while at the same time he is intensely involved with spending time with this older man, and he's just absolutely obsessed with the ugliness and the cruelty that he is hearing about and that he's reading about in all of his research. He begins to exhibit that same kind of cruelty. So I recommend this because it's a powerful experience and great performances by these two people, but it's not going to be a film that most people will necessarily enjoy and have a good time watching. So be wary of this title, but I would say that if you want an intense dramatic experience, something very different, I would give Apt Pupil a chance. All right, so thank you for watching. Let me know if you've seen it and what you think. I'll talk to you later.